Hello and welcome to King Dante's Civilization 6 YouTube channel. Today I'm going to discuss how to play the early game of 6-6 Rise and Fall. So basically I'm going to discuss the first 30 turns thereabouts of gameplay. So we're still on turn 1, and this video follows up from my video discussing where to place your capital settlement location. So we're beginning a little bit further into turn 1, as all I've done is I've just settled my city here, settled it in place, and I had moved my warrior from this wheat up to this wheat as I explored to determine if I had the right settlement location. So obviously the first thing you want to do at the beginning of the game is determine your settlement location. But now I'm going to walk through some of the additional choices that you make in your first 30 turns to really decide how to play the game. And I kind of set up the rules here, just a little brief overview. So I'm playing in Scotland because I didn't want to prejudice where I would settle based upon being a sea civ or something like that. And I'm on a fractal map, so I don't know whether there's multiple continents, whether there's a single continent. I can kind of see over here on the right, there's another river delta here, so I can see I'm kind of on a peninsula, but I don't know much about the map. We're playing on a small map with six civs. Okay, so moving from there, I've settled in place, so one of the first things I want to do is choose what to produce. You have the option between a monument, builder, a scout, warrior, or a slinger to begin the game. Almost always I'm going to choose to build a scout. The reason for this is because knowledge about the world is power, especially in the early game. You're trying to determine a few things in this beginning of the game. You're trying to determine your closest enemies. You're trying to determine what city-states you have nearby as quickly as possible. Your third thing that you're trying to do is be the first to find those city-states and be the first to find tribal villages if you can, because you're trying to get early game bonuses by being the first to do certain things. And so that's one of the big benefits that scouts can help you with. They can help you find things faster, and they can help you complete early quests by allowing you to start quests earlier. The benefit of warrior and slinger is they can help you fight barbarians, which is one of the things you're going to want to do. So the alternative, instead of building scouts, is you just build war units like you build slingers. So instead of building 2 or 3 scouts, you might build 2 or 3 slingers, and now you have an army in addition to scouts. I like the scouts because I can go faster, go further faster, and that I can gain the knowledge of the world and the knowledge of city-states quicker. But if I built slingers or warriors, I'd want to keep them closer around my territory after I've done the initial exploration. So you build it, and then builder is another option, so I can use builder, which could be fruitful because I could then build out these wheat even faster that I have and kind of grow faster. But at least for the first thing is I want to scout. So monument can also help. Again, you can get additional culture, but the culture really isn't the main purpose at this point in the game. It's nice to have. You obviously need culture in order to complete Code of Laws, but you're really trying to move your civ forward. So again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to determine our closest enemies. We're trying to determine where city-states are, quickly get any tribal villages, and then really what you need then is what should your second city be? Where should it be? And start working towards that. So those are our 4 goals, and we're going to now work through them. So I'm going to choose scout. Scout's what I want here. The other thing we need to do is we need to choose research. So again, this is Rise and Fall. I haven't played it a huge amount since it just came out, but I have done a playthrough. I have seen how these the different features work, so kind of know what to expect. What we're looking for, it's very similar to the base game, but what you really need to do is you're trying to build out the normal stuff. So we know, here, let's look. So normally when you're choosing your research, you need to know what you have. So we know animal husbandry would be useful because an upgraded horses is going to be a very good tile to work, especially early game. So that's going to be one of the things we're going to want to improve. We're going to want to improve wheat, but we can already do that because your base agriculture is able to improve wheat. And you're going to want to be able to chop forests relatively early in the game, which is helped by mining, allows you to chop forests. And the reason is that anytime you can chop things, you're able to push your civ even faster forward through the game. One key thing to note here is we need sailing to improve our luxury, which is a little unfortunate. It's a nice luxury over here, and it's a nice spot. It's going to give us culture, but sailing is usually out of the way. So we're going to want to consider getting sailing relatively early once we are producing workers. We can harvest wheat with pottery. It's not exactly our prime priority, but one of the other keys is wheel is going to be a very good building for us to have. So we're on a river, and each of our wheat resources would get an extra food. And since we have 3 just in our inner tile, and 4 if you count the second tile, and 5 if you count the third tile, this city is going to be a perfect usage for wheel. So wheel is going to be one of our early things that we're going to focus on. But for now, I'm going to go with animal husbandry, in part because I always want to be relatively close to getting archers. You never know what your military situation is going to be like, and it's just good to be able to have access to these resources. So let's select that, and this is going to allow us to harvest cattle or sheep, which we really don't want to do at this point. We don't have any, but it'll allow us to build a pasture, which is an extra production, and that production is going to be incredibly helpful if we get here, which is going to be +2. It's going to turn it into 2 food and 3 production. Very good style. So one of the other things is selecting for each city. Every time you build a new city, you should do this, but you need to select what the priority is for your governor. That's essentially going to automate these tiles. So I always tell it to focus on production and focus on food. What that's going to do is it's going to automatically choose the combination of citizens that have the highest production and food combination. So it's going to just and so this one has 4, 1 plus 3. So it's going to instantly choose this one. I'm actually not sure if I want that. So really what we're choosing between is we're either doing this one or we're doing a wheat at this point in the game. And so you can either grow in 7 turns, or you can with 6 turns for the scout, or we can grow in 14 turns with 4 turns for the scout. Now, one of the things that it's really tough is a really early scout could be absolutely helpful, because if you waste, those 2 extra turns could be the difference between being the first or the second person to a city-state. And if you're the first person to a city-state, you're going to get a free envoy with that city-state. So really, a lot of times I'm going to choose production. So if this was just this, where it's 5 turns, that 1 turn extra isn't going to be really worth the lack of food for growth. But those extra 2 turns at this point in the game can make a huge difference in our ability to be the first one to a city-state. So I'm going to choose for the first scout, and the first scout only, I'm going to choose this one, because that'll give me the extra boost I need to get the first scout out and moving towards and maybe get the first city-state that I want. So I've chosen my science, I've chosen culture. You always have to just choose code of laws. And now we can go to the second turn. Okay, so again, we're trying to explore. You need to find your settlement locations, and you need to find city-states. So the only thing we can do is we're trying to cross the river. Let's go to the next turn. Okay, so again, you're trying to get as far away as possible. So I'm already kind of hugging this area. I can leave this for the scout. So I'm going to come over this way. Okay, so you see a decent amount. We can already determine that there's going to be a really nice settlement location in this area. Right here and here look pretty good at this point. There's not a lot of hills there, but the river is really nice. And it's giving you an idea of where you can put some stuff. Although the fact here's a clue. So why can I not put a settler here? Okay, this is the plains. I should be able to put a settlement here. Why can't I? Here's a little clue, extra tip. So you can see all the red around my city. It's all within 3 tiles of my city. So this tells me this is within 3 tiles of a city. So either this is an opponent or it's a city-state. And if it's a city-state, I want to go see it first. So I'm going to go over here and see if it's a city-state. This is just one of those little tips and tricks. You want to be able to look around and try and determine, oh, okay, where will a city maybe be? And in this case, it's probably going to be a city over here. Hopefully it's not an enemy, and hopefully it's a city-state. So I'll do that next turn, is go over there. So normally you don't backtrack, but I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. City-state. So So I went to the hill because it gives me more visual, and I was more likely to be able to see that this tile here. So I found a barb camp, a little close, but it means I might get a quest to kill it. But it looks like a city-state over here, which is good. I might be the first one. Okay. So, bam. Found Yerevan. Now, let's see. Influenced by one civ. It's me. I'm the first one. And my quest is to recruit a great prophet. So that's actually a nice quest because you're going to be wanting to get a great prophet if you can. Having a religion is essentially just free bonuses in this game. So free bonuses are always nice. And what this is doing is I'm getting 2 faith in my capital because I'm the first one and I got a free envoy. And the quest isn't going to take me too far out of my way. But you see what I did there? I was able to determine using this that there was a city in this area that I hadn't seen before. Good to know. So I have my first scout here, and I've already found this one over here, but I don't want to walk my warrior too far away from my capital. So I'm going to keep my warrior on this side, come back this way, and I'll send my scout in the other direction. It's probably good because I found this scout, which I want to have to kill. So one of the things that they did in Civilization Rise and Fall is they made barbarians way stronger, which is good. It makes the game a little bit more interesting when you have to be worried about the barbarians. And so I'm going to now need to focus on making sure this scout doesn't get back to the barb camp, because once it sees my city, which it'll probably do next turn, then it becomes a major threat to me. So, okay, I finished my first scout, and I found a city-state. So now I'm going to switch back over to growing, because now I want to grow. The second scout's not nearly as important as the first scout, and so I can spend some focus on growing. So let's discuss a little bit about why I'm producing 2 scouts. So if it was Pangea, and I knew there was a lot of area to explore, I would definitely want at least 2 scouts, maybe 3. But probably 2 of my own production. And then if it was not Pangea, and if I knew it was a continents map, it might be a smaller continent. So 1 scout might be worth it on its own. I don't know whether it's a big landmass or a small landmass. So in this case, I'm still getting the second scout because the value could be incredibly high. But I also switched over to growing more. So now I switch this over, put it on the growth tile, and I can always go back to more production later. Why is it telling me I have recommended settlement location on the water? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so the other thing is this faith is going to be very helpful because it's going to help me get an early pantheon. Pantheons are always good stuff for you. So this scout actually didn't come down and see my capital. How do I know that? It doesn't have an exclamation point above it. So it's not as big of a priority to kill, but just shouldn't like scouts. So it doesn't hurt to damage them if you can because it's going to be easier to kill them later. Okay, so since I'm trying to explore this way anyway, I will chase it, but I'm not really chasing it in order to chase it. I'm chasing it to scout. If he went in a direction like up here that I would already scouted, I wouldn't chase after him because I'm not trying to kill him at this point. But I do need my scout to come over here and start finding other things. Okay, that's a mountain, so it doesn't really help me. Okay. So again, we've already been able to see, like, being on the coast isn't as good. Most of the time you're trying to get as much visibility as you can from each movement that you do. So I can't move here. I want to be on this hill, so I'm going to just come over here. Okay, so it's a little desert. Gotcha. Okay, so kind of a weird landmass here. One of these is a decent spot. We'll probably put a city here. Probably here. Be closer to just a little bit further away so I'm not overlapping too much of the stuff. So we'll just tentatively put a settlement location here. And just, it's good to place these markers so that you remember what you found. Again, this is one of our purposes. It's turn 8, and I've already found at least one settlement that I want to make. I'm not saying it's my next settlement, but this is decent. So you're going to have 2 hills here, or you're going to have a hill here, you're going to have a hill here. There's a decent amount of wood that you can chop. You can chop these mines, and you have more food. There's a lot of wheat in this area. So it's a good sign with the wheat. So again, because we found this Pantheon earlier, we only need 25 faith to get the Pantheon. There's a chance we might get the first Pantheon, which is always nice. Nice little bonus. So let's go here. Interesting. This looks like a good area over here. Let's see. Yeah, so we have a sugar, high food, and citrus. So there's going to be a nice city spot over here somewhere. We're going to have to, hopefully there's not an opponent nearby, and that could be a nice little settlement. Okay. So I'm setting up, so this next scout's going to probably go in this direction, and this scout's going to go in this direction, and we'll have at least scouted out our full interim area through this set of scouting. Okay. So one of the things that you can do early in the game that really makes a big difference sometimes is purchasing tiles in order to get additional food and production. I didn't do it this game. Now, why didn't I do it this game? Part of the reason, actually all the reason, is that this was already on track to get on the same turn that I got to 50 gold. So it cost 50 gold for my first one, and I only just now reached 50. And there's none of these tiles are worth buying more than what I have available right now. But otherwise, I would have purchased these horses because this horse spot is really good. So as you can see, what I had here is I have 1 turn growth and 2 turns till production. And you're trying to maximize hitting both those as possible. So if I come here, then it's 1 turn production, 1 turn to growth. And here I want to grow. And so I'm going to go here, make sure I grow, and then get it as close as possible for this scout to grow. And it might, in the last game, it would grow first, then give you the production for everything that it had. So then the first thing would also give you the production here. So we're going to see if that actually works. I don't think it will here, but in this version of the game. But in the last version it did. So we're going to do this. That was what I thought. So in this game it's actually, they got rid of that bug. But this is another 4 tile. The 4 is a really good tile. But again, I want to keep growing. So I'm going to make sure to do that here. And there's no benefit. So at least for this micromanaged turn, I'm here, 22 turns to grow, 1 turn to completion. 11 turns to grow, 1 turn to completion. So just a little micromanage that helps make sure that I'm continually growing towards what I need. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to see this area. So I'm going to come here. Okay, there's definitely a spot worth settling over here. Yeah, that's a good spot over there. I need to scout that out a little bit more. But this is a really prime territory. So you got 5 food and then a 3 production tile. Really early growth could be really good there. So, first tribal village. This should pay off with this scout quickly then. So, yeah, it would take, so it's going to take 2 turns to get over there anyway, so I'm going to come over here and just see if I get any more visibility with that. Okay, I don't, but it doesn't waste a turn because I was still going to take 2 turns to get over there. Okay. Let's do that. So our scout's back. I want to spend 1 turn coming over here to see what else is over here and just make sure that it's definitely the city I want. Oh, there's another amber on the ocean. Yeah, this is a good spot. We're going to make a city target somewhere in this area. I don't know which one yet. Probably this to be a little closer to more things. So I'm just going to put a settlement pin. Again, you want to pin these around the map just to remind you where you want your settlements. That's one of our big purposes at this point. You're trying to get the settlements. And this will be a really good spot. You're going to have high food, really quick growth, and really quick production early game. It's not necessarily a super high-end city, but it'll grow quickly, and that growth is going to give you food. It's going to give you science. It's going to give you culture because you get culture, and benefits for each of those things. So let's see. Let's come here. Okay, so this doesn't look like a big continent at this point. So it might have been a mistake to actually produce 2 scouts, because I don't even know if I'm going to be the only one on this territory. And if that's the case, 2 scouts would have been a waste. Because I keep seeing edges of ocean, which is not really a good sign for finding a lot of people or finding a lot of city-states. So it's a little unfortunate if that's what turns out to be the case. So this scout's going to want to work up to there. But what it does mean is if I'm alone, then I can be a lot more turtle-ish, and I can build a builder. So this builder now could be really helpful to jumpstart growth if I'm not actually going to have to fight a major war on this area. We'll also have to see what the tribal village gives me. But okay, so again, I did that. Focus on growth, because growth could be instrumental here. And next turn. I chose mining because I'm trying to make sure I have easy access to wheel. Just making sure to knock these out early on can be very helpful. I'm not in a super big rush to get holy sites. They would be helpful. But I'm also not next to anything that's going to give them extra bonuses. So it's not a major priority. So again, I want to explore down here a little bit. Anything? No, nothing off limits yet. Okay. I got a free builder. That's awesome. So a free builder is one of... So think about how useful this was. So a builder costs less than or costs more than a scout. And it's free builder. So it's not costing you more to get it that way. So we spent a scout and we made sure we got this. Now, so far it doesn't look like I was racing anyone for that. But it turns out to be very important to give me that early boost that I might not have gotten otherwise. So it's very beneficial to get this free builder, because now I can go and upgrade these tiles without having to spend these units on the builder. Now the other aspect is it might not actually hurt to build this builder. For one instance, I could then have a lot of extra territory which I could quickly upgrade and grow quickly, but I'm also not going to grow a significant amount that fast. If we think about where this builder is going to go, so this builder, it definitely needs to upgrade my pasture, and it needs to upgrade, at least one of these wheat. It would have been nice to have sailing right now, and so I might even consider switching to sailing, but it takes too long. So I'll delay that till later, but upgrading this tile and getting these ready to go is in a really good spot. You also note, because I found a village, I got era scores. This is one of the key aspects now. So it shows up here, +1 era score. I found a village, and you're trying to get era progress. So I'll do an overview about this later, but basically you're trying to achieve a certain number of era score to move forward in the game. If I get less than 12, then I'll end up in a dark age. If I end up between 12 and 23, I stay in a normal age. And then if I get to a golden age, then I'll get extra bonuses, but I'll have to get up to 24. And just a lot of different things give you that era score. So, okay, so moving here. So I have a couple options as a builder. I want to improve this. I want to improve these that I'm working. So I can move it all the way to the horses and not do anything else this turn. Or I can move it one spot, upgrade this farm, and then the next turn I can move it again and upgrade. So in 2 turns I would have upgraded both of these. The alternative would be 1 turn here, upgrade. And or 1 turn here, on the 2nd turn upgrade, on the 3rd turn move back and upgrade. So I can get this whole upgrade done a turn faster by doing them in order, even though the one I really want done is the horses. So I'm going to upgrade the farm. Yay, irrigation. And do that. Now, probably have another city over here. This is actually a pretty good city now. Sorry, missed that. So you can see these 3 settlement spots. Again, we're going to want hills. There's an argument to be made about which hill to choose. You don't want it on the wheat because that's your bonus resource. Might want it here just to be able to have access to more of these hills. Yeah, so you probably want it closer here because you don't want to... There's a benefit to being on the ocean, But there's not a huge benefit because if you build a harbor, you'll be able to produce units, produce naval units anyway. Um, and right now we really want the production capability of this. So I'll probably put my other settlement here. Just say settlement. There we go. So again, we're upgrading these. One of my plans here, assuming I don't have to fight anybody, which might be nice, is I want to produce at least one other city relatively early in the game. So normally on the Civics draft, you're trying to reach early empire because you have the ability to plus 50% towards settlers. That massively improves your ability to settle a lot of area without costing a lot of hammers. But doing this, waiting till this to build your second city is usually a bad decision because you want to be able to get that extra production and that extra growth as quickly as possible. So really what I'm trying to decide here is, do I want units, military units, or do I want a builder, a second builder? Because what this builder is going to do is going to do 1, 2, and then probably 3. And the third builder will be able to take another wheat and maybe chop wood, if I want to chop wood, to produce something faster. And then maybe expand a second wheat or maybe get my luxury resource up, because as we see, as I grow here, right now I only require 0 amenities, and I have 1 because of my first city here. But as this city continues to grow, it's going to have an amenity issue, and so it's nice just to get this amenity up and running. Also because I get this nice culture, and 1 culture when you're producing 1.6 is really low. The alternative is a monument. So I'm really looking at settler, monument, warrior, builder. But the builder can do a great job of helping me grow quickly. But I do want an early settler here, and I do want a monument as early as possible. So I need to carefully decide whether the builder is the best move here. It's going to come down to how much production I'm going to want, because I'll have some nice growth here. Because right now, if I just look, so if this one's going to, build up this tile, this tile, this tile, and this tile, yeah, I don't want the builder at this moment, and so I'm going to switch to monument. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to have 3 tiles improved, so it's going to be 4, 4, 5. I'm counting the number of icons here. And I'm going to have this one, which is at 4. So these 4 tiles are very workable without any improvement. So I need to be at least 4 population before I need any more tiles improved beyond those. And I'm probably going to produce a settler before I reach 5 production population. And so it's going to be a long time till I need the builder, but if I can get the monument going early, that extra culture is going to make it even faster to when I hit political philosophy. So you're like, milestones is code of laws, early empire, and political philosophy, and you're trying to hit these milestones as quickly as possible in the early game. Because once you hit political philosophy, you're able to adopt one of these 3 governments, which gives you a lot of different bonuses and options in the game. Okay, so I chose monument. I have my 3 settlement options so far, and I'm trying to see if there's any enemies. Because what I've done is I found an early city-state. Good. The quest is going to be hard to achieve because I need a great profit, and to do that I need to build a holy site, or Stonehenge, but I wouldn't build Stonehenge. You need to really build a holy site. And so I need to decide if that's worth it, placing like a holy site here. But for now I'm still trying to, just very early game, get some of these resources going, give me some options, maybe get to, a wheel is an early-ish option, probably not at the moment what I'm focusing on. But really trying to choose my first district and get things going. But there's one key aspect. So we've found settlement spots. We've gotten at least 1 tribal village, so that's going well. But I haven't found any enemies, and I don't know where my biggest threat is yet. So that's my big priority at this moment. Find my enemy. So we're going to continue my exploration. Continue here. Go forward. So we're trying to get him. Let's go this way. So again, we come down here. Yay, horseback riding. Got a bonus. So look, so now I have 2 population, but I have 5 here and 4 here. So I have 9 different icons of food and production from just those 2 because I got this early builder. It's really hard to overstate. This scout paid for itself, and it got it early to me, relatively early, a free builder that allowed me to not build the builder which I'd already started on. So I can save that builder production till later in the game and get a monument. It's like giving me a monument instead. Very hard to understate how powerful these tribal villages are, especially if instead of you getting them, your opponents get them. I'd like to take this if I can, but I think they're going to take it. But I hope they don't, because they can easily take it now. It's just amazing that they haven't so far. So, I want to work to see if this really is the edge of my map. I hope it isn't, but... So again, we're still working to explore. It looks like I have my own territory, which is a little annoying, because I have all these extra things. So I'm going to definitely need sailing relatively early, because I need to get off this landmass. Oh, they took it. That's too bad. Okay. Oh, good. Let me kill this guy. Actually, no. So I just completed Code of Laws, so I can ensure that I'm going to win this battle. It looks like I'm close to winning this battle, but I might not. So I want to just adopt my government real quick. So if you get Code of Laws, you can get government, which is chiefdom. You get 1 military slot, and you get 1 economic slot. Normally I like survey. This is probably my favorite one early game, because I really don't have a problem fighting barbarians for the most part during this game at this point. So getting the extra exploration experience is really valuable. It's nice to have. Upgrade your units faster. But because I'm trying to kill this one unit, I'll just take discipline for now. And urban planning is way better than God King. I wouldn't need God King anyway. The really key choice of God King is it gives you faith, so it helps you get an early Pantheon. But since I found Yerevan, I don't need an early Pantheon because I'm already going to get it. And urban planning is just better. I would almost always choose urban planning. The extra production in all cities is super powerful at this point in the game. Because if we're going to see, I go back to my city, that was a 10% boost, or like 12% boost, because I already had 8 production. So now I have 10 production. Or I had 9 production, now I have 10 production. That's incredibly valuable. Way better. So build out my farm, craftsmanship bonus. So if that, it's improved 3 tiles. It's one of the great reasons to get your builders early. You can complete craftsmanship earlier. So now I'm going to choose. I really want to work towards early empire. This is the key civic for me. But I need to discover a second continent before I get it. But I'm just going to start on this because this is the one I really want done so I can get early empire done. But I could do this at any point. It's going to be faster. So now I can kill this. Yeah. So do that. It gets experience. I really like leveling up my scouts if I can. It's nice. Oh gosh, this is such a small map here. It's really unfortunate. It doesn't look like I'm going to have any opponents, but I did find another tribal village down here. So there's probably another city that I can settle. There's probably something in here as a settlement, because spices is really good. So, but I'm still going to want to get off this landmass as soon as I can. So I was just doing those attacks to level it up, but also because those scouts can become a major problem. Okay, so take that, gained experience. This is the worst upgrade you can get, is just gaining experience. It's not what you want to get. That's a terrible one to get. It might be that this actually connects. It's all connected. And I haven't explored up here, so we might be connected, but no one nearby. Yeah, so those are connected. That's kind of okay. I just want to see what's over here. Okay, I can choose my Pantheon. So this is the other reason to have 2 scouts, is you can choose your Pantheon at this point in the game. you want to have a Pantheon relatively early. Also, this looks like an awesome location for a city down here. Somewhere in this area is a city. Because 2 spices and deer. I mean, so this deer is probably going to get done by that city. But it's also just at a choke point. There's not a lot of production. I mean, you'll have production from this. So maybe somewhere in this area is where you want it. But just you have, this is a good growth city. You can place districts and it'll be a nice spot. So I'm just going to tentatively put OK City over here. Okay. So one of the key aspects of exploring early is that if you do get something like this where you get an early Pantheon, is you'll be able to know what to choose. And you want a decent Pantheon choice. So one of they do have a new Pantheon in here, which is really darn good. Let me see if it's in here. Where it is. Okay. +1 faith from tiles with charming or better appeal. I played against this recently, and it's actually a really good benefit because faith can give you a lot of things, but at the end of the day, what you're using if you're not going for a religious victory is you can use faith to buy great people, and buying great people that you want that other people can't get because they can't spend the gold and gold is too expensive is incredibly valuable. So if you have a lot of faith, buying like the Adam Smith from Great Merchant, which is a free Great Merchant slot or free economic policy, is incredible. Like if you did that because with this Pantheon, it would be incredibly valuable. It's almost uncomparable to be able to use this Earth Goddess ability if you can get it. So it's charming or better appeal. So if we look at appeal, I'll show you how many tiles that is. So that's going to depend. So here we go. I think, yeah. So every tile here that's at least light green, not dark, not bright green, which are breathtaking, but all the ones that are just light green, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, would all give you one faith. So if I chose it now, I'm working 3 tiles. So it'd be almost every tile in near my capital would give me faith. All these tiles would give me faith. Like essentially every tile in your cities are going to start giving you faith. So you're going to get faith from here, 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 here. I mean, as this city grows, it's just going to be a massive faith producer. It's a really good good ability because you're going to get a ton of faith. You'll be able to spread your religion very quickly. If you want to go for a religious victory, you can. It's pretty much impossible in multiplayer, but in single player, it's possible. But really, just the extra faith is just awesome to have because you can buy things. You can, depending upon what you do, if you go into here and you have theology and you're purchasing, here it is, theocracy, and you start purchasing units with faith. That can be incredibly valuable. It's one of these here. I can't remember where it is. Maybe it's here. I don't know. They moved it. They've changed some stuff in how it's set up, but you can essentially purchase units with faith using some, depending upon the set of cards and government you're in. But you set yourself up in a really good situation. So that's one that I have to highly consider here because it'd be a lot of faith. One of my other favorites are culture. Anything that gives you culture is good. Turning a Pantheon into culture is good. So I have 1.6 culture per turn right now. So again, we're on turn 17. I have 1.6 culture per turn. So choosing a Pantheon, +1 culture from pastures. So if I choose that, I only have 1 pasture. And there's not really, I don't have a lot of, if there were a lot of horses, this would be really good. If I had cows or sheep where I could have multiple pastures, this would be amazing. Because let's say I had horses here and cows here, or cows here, instead of wheat. And so now I have 2 pastures. I could double my culture at the beginning of the game. Even still, if I took it now, it'd be almost doubling my culture because this would now produce culture. That's a really good boost early in the game. It's like producing a monument. And although it's not a huge absolute amount, that can add up and keep going over time. And that makes a big difference because getting through being first to early empires so you can produce an empire faster with your settlers can be incredibly valuable. You can steamroll that to a win in the game. Being first to political philosophy can help you win the game. Doing these things early make a huge difference, and they can't be understated. So I'm looking for culture that I can get. So if we go back, where's my pantheon? Yeah. So God of Open Sky is probably my single favorite one because pastures are usually freely available. I don't have a lot this game, but even still, with just the horses, I would consider it. And then the other one is Oral Traditions. You're looking for stuff like spices, bananas, citrus, cotton, sugar, giving you culture. So essentially, if I settle over here, this is culture, 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 culture. But otherwise, there's not a lot, and these aren't necessarily. So this might be one of my first new settlements. But there's not a ton of culture, and it would be kind of delayed until I got over there, which is a little unfortunate. But those are my two favorites if I can get them, is because culture is going to give you a huge benefit, and it's really hard to get culture. Holy Site districts give faith, terrible, terrible, terrible. Amenity, if they have a holy site, not good. Divine Spark is not really good, but it's a decent one. Fishing boats. So I'm actually on the coast, so there's like a decent amount of fishing boats where that could be beneficial because there's going to be fishing boats everywhere. Just how much ocean I'm on. So it's something to consider. The production's always nice. Camps. There are some camps, but I wouldn't choose it because it's just food isn't a very good. It's easy to get food. You're always housing limited though. You're not food limited. Let's see. No. Mines over strategic resources. Again, production's okay, but there's just not that many strategic resources. So really what it comes down to is I don't care about a lot of these. And this is okay, extra production for your first district, but these abilities don't last. I'm really leaning towards Earth Goddess. It's incredibly valuable here. Essentially all my tiles are going to be producing faith from early in the game. I'm going to have a lot of faith. And I could just, depending upon what I choose to do with a religion, and this will push me more towards getting an early religion when I might not have. But it comes down to Earth Goddess, which is going to give me 3 faith from the turn I take it. Or Pastures, which the turn I take it will give me 1 culture. And I'm not going to get more culture for a long time because there's no other pastures here. I have no pastures. There is no other pasture, so it would be 1 culture per turn for the whole game. It's not that great. It's okay. It's incredibly valuable to get it this early. We're on turn 17, so getting that culture this early in the game is incredibly valuable. And this would give me more culture, but I would have to wait. So I'm really leaning towards just taking Earth Goddess. So we're going to do that. Okay, yay. I get Era score because I founded a pantheon. First one to choose a pantheon. Okay. But now look. Faith, 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 faith. It's going to be so easy to get faith. I'm now producing 4 faith per turn. It's only going to get higher. I guess my capital doesn't get it. Okay. Ooh, there's another tribal village. I need to go get that. Hopefully it will give me something other than experience. I don't want experience. Okay. So I need this scout to explore the rest of this world. I need to figure out what's past Yerevan. Okay. I'm actually going to heal that scout. Because this scout's ahead of him. And might as well be at full strength before I have to face any combat from that guy. Okay, just makes... So, usually it's good when your city grows, especially in the game. Just make sure it's doing what you want it to do. So, I mean, again, there's 2 options. Could have gone here or there. But I want it to be here because I'm really trying to grow quickly now. The more of these tiles I'm working, the more faith I'm getting. So now I'm up to 5 faith per turn. And I'm also just trying to make it... And then I want to probably produce a settler pretty early. So it just... I'm already at 1 turn till production. So the food's really what I want. So, okay. We do have a decision to make here, though. I want wheel because I want watermill. That food for each city is really good. If I can get it, that will help me a lot. I want bronze working because I need to know where the iron is. Iron's one of my important resources earlier in the game, but I'm not super like in a rush for it, in part because it doesn't look like I have any enemies nearby. So iron's very important if you're surrounded by enemies, but I don't have enemies. So in that case, I'm going to move forward without prioritizing bronze working as much. Archery is helpful because you need archers, but I don't seem to have a lot of enemies, and I've already contained the first barb camp, so I'm not focusing on archers. Pottery is helpful, but I don't need a granary because I settled on fresh water. So I will eventually need one, but it's not as big of a focus as people like to do. The one food is nice. It helps you grow faster. But that 65 production is better spent on other stuff most of the time early in the game. And I can harvest wheat and rice. I don't want to harvest wheat because I'm going to grow wheat into a huge empire with my watermill. So that's not going to happen. But pottery is useful because it helps you get to campuses early. And it helps you to use plantations. But really, an early campus can be helpful, but it's oftentimes a mistake because you're going to move, if you get an early campus, you're going to move quickly through this technology tree early in the game, and you don't need that. You have no need to move quickly through the technology tree right at the beginning of the game, because what you're doing with that is you're creating a problem where you can't build the buildings that you're unlocking as quickly as you're unlocking them. It's much better to focus on production, focus on growing your empire, than instead of focusing on that. So what I'm really between, though, is the holy site. I know I need a holy site now because I've decided that I'm going to have a lot of faith. And a lot of faith is going to help my religion be strong. It's going to help me get beliefs before other people. And so I need to be able to make sure I can found a religion now. And so holy site's going to become a priority. Sailing is a priority. So I'm really down to 3 priorities. I have sailing, astrology, and wheel. Those are my 3 priorities, eventually moving forward to trying to get currency. But I might even prefer harbors, the way that things set up, instead of commercial hubs. So trying to get that holy site going. Okay. So let's get this scout moving. Oh, good. Looks like there might be stuff beyond there. That would be nice. Okay, keep moving our warrior out. And this is the problem. You see what the problem is? My warrior is probably 30 turns from my capital now. Probably not 30. Okay, 12 turns from my capital. If he wants to get back, it's going to take him a long time. It's going to take him half the game of what I've played so far to get back to my capital. That's because I'm using him to explore. If I had built like military units instead of these scouts, I would not have explored as much as I have. I would not have identified 4 settlement locations like I have, which is one of the things you're trying to do. And I wouldn't be as well developed. So yes, you want to explore with your initial warrior, but I have no defenses now if I needed to bring him back. Yeah, if I had more military units, they'd all be close, but I wouldn't have the exploration. And the exploration is key. It's really helped me jumpstart with my early warrior, or early worker. And now I have this worker that I can still build out. But look, I built that monument, and I'm still only at 3 population. It's pretty good. So what I'm going to go here is I want my settler. And so I want to make sure this guy can get back. Yeah. So I'll leave him one more turn to heal. But it's turn 19, and I'm building a settler. Why? So I have a decent amount of production here. Can I build him faster? So if I do this, 7 turns, but 15, no. So when I produce this settler, I'm going to lose a population. So right now I'm going to finish my 4th population on the same turn I complete the settler. So I'm going to end up with 3 pops still. So I'm going to spend 8 turns, not lose any population. I'm still going to have 3 population, and I'm going to have a settler. And this is really important because it's going to allow me to get my 2nd city out quickly. The faster I get a 2nd city, the faster I'm more competitive with the AI or with opponents. If you're playing multiplayer, this is even more crucial because opponents are just smarter than the AI. But the AI is going to start ahead of you. So like if I look at score, I'm in last place. I don't know who these people are, but the big reason is my empire's at 10 and their empire's at 18 to 23. And why is that? Is because they have more cities than me. They start with additional settlers. So I'm fighting against additional settlers, and so I need a second city as early as reasonably possible. That's why I'm behind in everything, is because I don't have their same production capabilities without those additional cities. So you need an early city, whether it's AI or against other people, because you can grow faster, you get faster food, you get faster production. It doesn't slow you down. The cost of those 8 turns means you have a completely new city. Okay. So I still have, and then I'll probably produce a builder after that, because that's when I'll start growing again. But for now, I want the settler. I want to bring this unit back home, so he'll eventually be home. Actually, if he's going to heal anyway, he can heal at my capital. So he's going to come back. And I want to continue exploring. Hopefully I'll get this. Okay. Let's see. Go 1 tile. Probably do the production now. So I chose that just because the +7 combat streak just makes him a little beefier against everything. You could have also chosen the other thing. So one thing to note is I do have the ability to purchase a tile still. I haven't done so yet because this city doesn't need it. But by having saved that gold, I'll be able to maybe purchase a tile for another city, my second city, faster. This might actually be like tundra up here. That is annoying. It doesn't even look like I can settle up there reasonably, because maybe I'd kill Yerevan at some point. Okay. So keep moving. Yep. These turns should go a little bit faster because I'm just exploring. Okay, move here. So I can't move there because I need more than 1 movement point, but I'm just going to still explore out. But it does look like I'm going to get that one. Okay. So I'm alone at least in this area, and I'm guessing this is also alone. So what am I trying to do with my settler? I'm trying to get my scout back home because he's going to escort my settler to his settlement location. You don't need military units beyond scouts to do this. As long as you're not placing people. But even if you are placing people, usually a scout will be sufficient. Here we go, +20 faith. That was unhelpful. So I'm trying to get over here. Fastest ways through his territory. Yeah, I got a historic moment. Okay. Keep going there. But see, again, that's not as nearly as useful. It's incredibly valuable to get that early worker, though. Is there another one? Wow. Okay. I'm gonna leave my scout here instead of bringing him further because I want this scout to go away and not scout me. It might be unavoidable though. Okay, so now I'm moving here just because this is where the tribal village is. Oh, wow. Rice. Do I want to be closer to the rice? So here's an interesting thought. So in order to use these rice, I need to be on this settlement spot instead of that settlement spot. It moves me further from this stuff, but if I settle down here anyway, that'll be using it. That's tough. This is still a better spot, even though I'd lose access to those eventually. I think this is better. So yeah, I keep talking about this spot because I think this is where I want to settle my first city. It's either here or here. This one will go too slow. It has too many mountains. This one will be a good balance. So this one's nice and close, which is hugely beneficial. But also one of these is going to be closer to my enemies, since it looks like I'm on my own little like peninsula here, or island, if this gets closed off. What is this? Did I get I got a boost. Boost to state workforce. Okay. So, I actually wasn't paying enough attention, but I want to give myself a second chance to, I want to give myself a chance to find an additional continent. I don't know if I'm going to do so though, because it looks like the continent goes all the way around. So if I was willing to wait for a second continent, I could stop doing foreign trade, but I'll probably keep working on it actually. Because I want to be able to start a trade route. So I got that, but that was a boost. Again, keep getting error score. No, I'm already up to 65 production or something. Yeah, I'm going to kill this. So you get error score when you kill barb camps. And it's just easier to not have to deal with barb camps. But this quadrium is going to attack me, which is annoying. Okay. So I'll bring him back so he can escort my settler, which will be done next turn. We're getting close to where I'll probably wrap up this video. We haven't found enemies, so I kind of missed that point of it. But the main thing with, let's talk about if you had found enemies, right? So if I had found, I don't know, England over here, right? It's like, okay, well then these settlements become much more important because I've identified where my closest opponent is, and so now I need to forward settle towards them. So then I'd be more inclined, even though I'm already inclined, to take the settler in this direction versus this direction. Because these are safe. I can fill these in at any later point because no one's going to settle these before me. They're on my territory. They're kind of like the back end of my territory. But this is the forward end, and it still probably is, depending upon how much of this territory is mine. But I'm going to want to settle like the far end of my territory as quickly as possible in order to take advantage of that. And so I'm trying to bring those units into an area, you know, identify where they are. So if England's over here, I want to settle one of these things forward, probably here if I can, because then it locks down this area. I have a one tile range where they can come in. It's easily defended. And even if this isn't the best city, then I have that extra benefit from locking down my opponent from getting any closer. Same thing if my opponent was over here, then I'm going to more likely push forward to take one of these spots quicker. That's really the benefit of knowing where your opponents are. So even though it doesn't look like we're going to find them during this period of time, that's where what I'd kind of do with those early turns, if I had found them. So I produce a settler. Turn 27, I have my first settler. That's very good. So where do I want it? Let's see. I've identified 4 nice settlement locations. They're all fresh water besides this one, and there's another settlement location down here. That's too far though. You want to limit the turns it's going to take your settler to get there. So right now it's going to take 9 turns to get over to here, 8 turns. One of these spots somewhere here. It's going to take 7 turns to get to this spot, either one. It'll only take 3 turns to get to this one. Sorry, let's see. So it'll only take 3 turns to get here. It's a really big benefit. So it's 3 turns earlier where I have this city up and running. It's probably going to grow before those other ones would even get going. And then 7 turns. So what we essentially have is this is my close settlement. Generally, I like to settle close. If I haven't found enemies, I want to settle close. I want to get this city up and running. We'll start a trade route and really just help things get moving. And quickly consider these as my other cities. The big question is whether this one's worth settling beforehand. So it's going to have the 5 food. It's going to grow incredibly quickly, and it has this high production. But you also have high production tiles here. You have the deer. You can improve the deer. You have food. So I'm tempted to just build close because, again, what I'm trying to do, I don't want to get too far behind in culture, and I don't want to get too far behind in science. I'm trying to get 2 cities up and running quickly because what I want to be able to do is when early empire is completed, I want to use multiple cities to produce my settlers. I don't want to just use my capital. A lot of people like to use, oh, well, I'll use my capital to produce those. You can, but what you really want to do is you want to get things up and running as fast as you possibly can. And one of the ways you do that is you get the capital functioning, and then you get a second city functioning in time to help with the production. So then you have 50% production in multiple cities, and that can be really, really valuable. So that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to settle over here because I'm going to complete this. I have another 18 turns before I can get early empire, but those 18 turns mean I could have 15 turns for this city to be growing before I need it to help me produce settlers. So that's where we're going to go. So I'm going to go here, and we're going to target this in. Also, always create an escort formation to protect your settlers so they don't just get killed by random barbarians or people, because when they take your settler, if it's another person, they can immediately settle a city. Not what you want. Okay. So, what else am I looking to do? I want to help this city get started quicker. So now I'm going to produce that extra builder because this city can now benefit from that. I can build maybe a improvement here, but I can also help it improve its first tiles, and then it'll be an even more productive city even faster. So again, I'm still at 3 population because I just completed my growth on the same turn. So now the city grew, and it has the production as well. So I'm still at 3 population. This city is going to be up in a few turns and growing quickly. So let's see. We'll take this forward. Keep exploring. Oh, another tribal village. This has to be all my own territory because there's no way there's this many tribal villages that no one's found. Go towards early empire. Again, you get a boost when you grow to civilization pop 6, which having the second city will help immensely. Hopefully we'll be able to do this all in a nice contiguous manner. Fortify until here. Yay, I've grown to this one, which is nice because I'm going to work this worker all the way over there, and I'll probably improve 1, 2, 3 or something like this. Okay. So, again, if you cannot predict natural wonders, normally I wouldn't like to rush this, but I'm trying to get this holy site up and running, hopefully before I complete early empire, and then I can have a holy site, then I can, you're trying to time things. And timing is incredibly important early in this game to make sure you're getting everything going exactly how you need it to go. Okay, an unmet city-state has been defeated. So we have at least one warring AI out there. Get this. Early empire got advanced. That's awesome. So that is a really nice benefit because now I don't have to wait till 6 pop. It's kind of a downside because I would have gotten to 6 pop anyway. But still, it's a nice to have. So we'll just delete this. We'll keep this thing there until I settle it. Okay. So it turns out I am alone. I'm on an island. So what does that mean? I'm going to need sailing soonish. I need to explore. I need to figure out where my opponents are. I'm going to need to be able to embark. These are going to come relatively important things in the future, but it means that for now I can kind of pick and choose where I want my cities. But I've also explored my whole landmass, which is kind of cool. So I can map out where I want cities. I know I'm going to want a city here, and we'll put a settlement here. Why? Because it has access to these fish resources, has a lot of production, has food growth. And I'm also going to want a city over in this area. So probably here. Yeah. So then we're going to put a city here. Okay. And then, yeah. Decent number. There might even be another city in this area, depending upon how it works out. But, okay. So that's pretty good. So what we're going to do this. We will settle our first city, or our second city. And look, it already has all of these nice appeal. Because look, these tiles, which are the tiles I'm going to work. This tile starts with a faith. I mean, each population I'm growing is giving me more faith. This is the situation you want to be in. Getting all the stuff you want without having to work for it. Or work extra for it. The only downside is I'm going to be closer to the barbarians, so I'm going to need an army now. One of the things I like doing, as a little aside, is I like using this second city sometimes for its first production to be the monument's nice to get done, but also like a trader, because the trader having your city produce your trader for you, allowing your capital to produce other things like builders, can be incredibly valuable. Let's see. Do I have any other dangers out here? I'll put this here and have it defend. Let's see. Okay. So where are we? We're on turn 30, which is about what I was targeting to get done. And I think we've accomplished everything you want to do at the beginning of the game. So we've completed our early beginning game exploration phase. And we've accomplished most of our goals. We found a city-state first, which we were probably going to do anyway, but we found it quickly. Allowed us to get the first pantheon. So we had a choice of pantheons, which is giving us a bunch of faith, and it's only going to become more faith as the game goes on. And it's allowing us to grow. We have identified settlement locations. Your first settlement location is really your goal here. And so we identified here that this was our best first settlement location. We also identified all of our next best settlement locations. So we identified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. So we have our first 7 cities mapped out. Maybe not the first ones exactly if we find some better ones over the ocean, because we'll need to explore navally pretty soon. But we've mapped out 7 settlement locations. You could possibly fill in 8 somewhere in here. There's plenty of options for where you could put in an 8th city. And so you have a very good empire with 7 cities that I could fill out just on my own landmass. And you're going to want to fill them out relatively quickly. But the very beginning of the game, your goal was to find your first settlement location, place your first settlement here, identify enemies. We have failed to identify enemies, but we have identified that we don't have a lot of enemies in our home territory. Find city-states and bring them to your side and complete quests. So we're on our way to completing the quest because the Great Prophet, we're seeking out our holy site. So I think I feel pretty good about how this game's gone so far. We're behind in score, but score is irrelevant, especially early game against AI, because they're always going to be better than you. And your place doesn't really matter again, because everyone's always going to be ahead of you. So what you're really looking to do is just solidify your local area and know what your initial plan is. We've chosen a pantheon, and we were able to accurately choose it because we had explored enough. So I feel good about this spot. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video here for how to play the early expansion part of the game for Civ 6 Rise and Fall. Thank you.